Right, so my name's Simon. I'm 25 years old, and today I thought I'd share my story, like who actually am I, and all the rest of it. Get to know me a little bit better, right? So what I'll do is I'll start right from the very beginning. I was born to a Somali mum and an English dad, hence the name, hence the skin color. I was born in Abu Dhabi, and it was all happy families to begin with. Um, Things were going quite well, and when I was 3 years old, I then moved to the UK. Um, we moved to the UK, and then my mum found out that my dad was cheating on her with some lady he met back in Dubai. So he would often go back to Dubai to see her, leaving my mum and me in Sheffield, which is where I resided. And them two, of course, then split up, right? And I think then from that point onwards, it was just my mum and me versus the world. So from 3, 4 years old, that was it. I remember running out the house with her with some clothes in a bag and going to our friend's house just to stay there. Um, Fun times, right? I'll skip all the funny stuff in between, but I moved them from Sheffield down to Milton Keynes when I was 7 years old. And that's when things started to get good. So I moved to a place called Fishermead. So if you're from Milton Keynes and you know what Fishermead is like, yeah, you know what Fishermead is like. It's not the best, but I moved to Fishermead, and that's where I stayed for a few years, until I then moved to somewhere called Bletchley. And if you're not familiar with what Bletchley is, £50 note, Queen Elizabeth on one, rest in peace, on one side, other side, Alan Turing. That geezer was a geezer who broke the code against the Germans and got us the war. I literally live right outside where they broke the code, and I've been in Milton Keynes ever since. Well, right now, I'm in Croatia with the boys, but when I'm in the UK, I'm in Milton Keynes, and I didn't have a very easy childhood. I didn't have an easy upbringing at all. I think, especially with my mum, single mum and me, working a part-time job, went through poverty. I had free school meals. I often wasn't able to get what I wanted at school, and things were very tight for very many years. And I remember saying to my mum for years, I can't wait to become 16 so I can get my first job. I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. There were multiple times where her overdraft was overextended. There was multiple times where she, for example, would have some very serious health problems. At one point, she was told she had 5 days to live, right? There's been many times where I thought I wasn't going to have my mum, but she still powered on through. And I think one of the main reasons I am where I am today is because of her work ethic and her ability just to say, no, I'm not going to go away. I'm going to fight for my son. I'll do the right thing. And she's given me everything I've got, in all fairness. I think there was even one point in time where after my dad cheated on my mum and we ran away from the house, we were homeless, just sofa surfing. And this is the time where she got her liver problem, and there were times I thought I wasn't going to have a mum, right? So the most important lady in my life is my mum, and that's the whole reason I do all of this. And yeah, so growing up, I really didn't have much at all. Far from it. I think I was probably the poorest kid in my class, one of the poorest kids in school. And I never knew that until really like growing up, the kind of poverty that we actually lived in. But I'm thankful for that. And I wouldn't change that story for the world. I think the hardships that I went through, my mum and me, is exactly what's turned me into the man that I am today. Right? A tough time does not faze me. I'm very used to tough times. And yeah, there was also many times when I was growing up where I'd be influenced by the people around me. Like there's certain things I can't even say on camera that I have done because it wouldn't sound that good. But you can imagine all the bullshit I would have been getting up to. Yeah, not good at all. Quite ashamed of myself, to be fair, looking back on those times where I was doing things that, again, Mum, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, can't say, can I? But yeah, I was a pretty naughty kid to an extent at school. I was always the underdog. The teachers never really believed in me. There was a few that did, but the teachers never really believed in me that much. And I was overweight as hell. I was fat. I was very fat. I was 120. Just when things got tough, I'd always eat. The last pennies my mum would have at the end of each week from her part-time job, working as a dinner lady at my school, she'd always spend on fish and chips on a Friday, which is why I religiously will only eat fish and chips on a Friday. Is because with my mum's last pennies, that's what she would get me. She'd give me kebabs and comfort food, just to make things better than what they were. And my mum done a terrific job at making sure that I didn't see the hardships that we were genuinely going through, which now looking back, I see it all. I do see it all. And I ballooned in size. I was called a fat fuck for time. I was called the muffin top man. I got bullied like crazy. And that's when I decided that enough was enough, really. I lost 40 kilos in 6 months, based purely on willpower. And that's when I actually found my first proper love after all that. So I appreciate you calling me the muffin top man. You know who you are. But yeah, no, I think that's also that's a thing in itself, right? And yeah, I went through a pretty traditional sort of setup after that. I was a waiter for a couple of years at Pizza Express. So shout out all my my pizza buddies, yeah. And after that, I went to university. But even before university, I was doing an apprenticeship. I was sold a dream really with the apprenticeship. I was 18 at the time. I had hair, believe it or not. I actually got rid of my hair at 18, to be fair. I'm not bald, but I got my first buzz cut when I was 18. And yeah, I was doing an apprenticeship. I then realised that I was sold a dream. And for freedom, I then decided to go down the university path. I studied computer science because I wanted to beat AI. And Shakur, if you're watching this, I remember that conversation with you in that car being like, I'm going to do it. And we have spoken about that a couple times. But yeah, I did computer science at uni, but again, I was an underdog at school. People didn't really believe in me. The teachers never really believed in me. I didn't even believe in myself, to be quite transparent. I didn't believe in myself. My grades weren't really, my grades were average. I didn't really study that much. I was too busy playing FIFA or something. And my grades weren't really good enough to go to university, so I had to take a foundation year. And that made me feel dumb. If you've done a foundation year, you know what it feels like. Okay, I know for a fact you know what it feels like. But yeah, no, I've done a foundation year. Then I finished my foundation year, went into my first year, and I met a girl and I started dating her at the time. It's important for the story. I met her, started dating her, end of first year, start of second year. Fairly traditional at this point. I was a manager at Subway, right? I worked at McDonald's, putting lids on cups. My friends watching this will get the joke. And yeah, I was at McDonald's for a couple of years. I was at Subway for like a few months or something. So I have done the grueling work. You know, I have done all of that. I've even worked in a call center during my gap year. But that's neither here or there. I'm gonna get to the good bit. So yeah, I think whilst at McDonald's, I was trying to build a tech startup called Fighter. And just to explain what that is, it's literally Tinder for combat sports with no romance, where you swipe left, right, and you find other boxers, Muay Thai people, kickboxers to train, meet, and connect with. And we had the app fully functional. But by that point, I got investors interested. The only thing though was I turned down the money, and the reason I turned down the money was because the business plan was flawed. And when I say to you the business plan was flawed, what I mean by that is Tinder works because horny men go on there to try and find a girlfriend. But you're not going to get boxers paying money to try and find other boxers. I think it's quite an intimate thing where once you find your training partner, you're okay with that. You're very okay with who they are, because getting punched in the face is a thing in itself. Because I used to be really big into boxing. Boxing is still my favourite sport in the world. Number one sport in the world, boxing. But yeah, so that took me around a year to make with a very good friend of mine. And I then had to pull the plug. Bear in mind again, so this took a year. When I pulled the plug, I was pretty depressed. And a good friend of mine then got into something called appointment setting. Now, I'm not going to say the guy's name because of what I'm going to say, but he knows exactly who he is. And I thank whoever's out there every single day for me meeting this guy. And yeah, when I say to you he had no money, I do literally mean he had no money. And it was tough times. It was tough times, right? This was during also my final year of university, just to add a bit of extra context. And the guy had like, what, £300 left in the account. He got onto a payment plan for a course, something called appointment setting or whatever. He got into that with a payment plan, knowing damn well that if he didn't make any money from the course, he would have been flat broke. Like when I say to you flat broke, I mean flat broke. I literally mean the guy's mum would take money from him the day the student loan would enter the account. Student loan enters the account, ring, ring, ring. Hey mum, you're all right? Yeah, sound. What, you want all my money? All right, cool. He had nowhere to go at all. And I do see him like a little brother. I really do. Like, genuinely. But no, he had nothing. No savings, no parents to call upon. His sister is younger than him. University as well, worked at Anfield. And so whilst I'm being depressed because my app failed, yeah, he got into appointment setting and he landed an offer with a fitness coach that had 215k followers at the time. And every single time this guy books in a meeting, I'd be, my room was here, his room was adjacent to mine, but just slightly up, or whatever, like a little like thing. And all you'd hear is him screaming, like genuinely, you'd hear him screaming, because that to him was like getting paid. The fact he booked a meeting, he got two people to go onto a Google Meets to have a conversation about whether or not they want to work on their fitness or not. No money was exchanged, just information put down onto a calendar, and that to him was everything. And that grinded my gears, because I'm there depressed listening to like XXX Tentacion or whatever. Yeah, miserable. And he's just there like going crazy with it. And for a good week straight, he was like, Simon, it's time. Simon, it's time. Simon, it's time. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe it is time. Screw it. So then what happened was I went into the kitchen, university kitchen, halls, whatever. It wasn't a gaff at this point. And I said to him, you're right, mate. So do you know what it is, yeah? I'll give you money, okay, and a decent amount of it as well, for you to give me your login details to then get onto the course so I can then learn what you're doing. Because at that point, I was just pulling for anything that worked at that point. I was like, okay, I've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. My baby is now gone. Because if you build anything, that thing is your baby. It just is, yeah. And to see my baby die, I was like, okay, I've got nothing to lose now. And I put the offer onto the table whilst he was making his pasta with cold sauce. I still remember that, mate. He went quiet. He went very quiet. Because again, when I say to you he had no money, sorry, mate, you know it's true. You had no money, bro. Yo, you're so going to watch this, but it's fine. But yeah, he had no money, mate. He had no money. He thought about it for a few minutes, and he said no. And I never wanted to get into appointment setting. I never wanted to get into sales. I wanted to beat AI. I wanted to get into the tech game. I was already a business analyst, okay? So during my placement year or whatever, I skipped past this, but I was a business analyst. I was a business analyst for a year and a half, so I do understand the 9-to-5 game quite well. That's also why I talk about data very often, because my whole job was just looking at data, making sure it works, making sure that the right integration flows were put in place and that architects knew what they were doing. I had a pretty important job. At a very respectable pharmaceutical firm. Very respectable. I think it's the biggest pharma firm in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Definitely top 3, regardless. So yeah, I was a business analyst, got a lot of money from that. But yeah, I never wanted to get into sales. I never wanted to get into appointment setting. I never even, I just couldn't give a rat's, genuinely. But the conviction he conveyed to me in that moment to turn down my money and say, no, you have to go to him and pay the money to join. I was like, okay, fine, cool. And I joined. Looking back, that was the best decision I've ever made. And the reason I say that is because I'm quite literally in Croatia with a nice tree over here because of that one decision I made, because of the conviction he had in me joining. He risked everything to get into that course. And he risked even more by turning down my money. So thank you for that, mate. Very good friend of mine. I'll do a lot for you. And I got into it. And I remember I got into it. I was like, appointment setting, okay, cool, let me go through this course or whatever. Chat to people on the network and that, like post that into the community. And I genuinely thought I got scammed. I was looking at my mate get results, and then there's me getting niche for like a month and a bit. I was like, okay, what am I doing? I'm actually wasting my time here. Until a very good friend of mine took a bet on me. 10 Feet Studios, Emrahan, the Turkish guy with nice hair, he took a bet on me. And I'm very thankful that he did. And I then got started with him, right? And I started appointment setting for him. Bear in mind, this was like 2 months in. I made nothing really. I just had hope, right? That was literally, I just had hope. And bearing in mind, this is like a guy who was putting a lot of money into ads, a whole bunch of money into ads. And I've got the responsibility to make sure that that then gets turned into paying clientele at the end of it, whilst also trying to do my university degree at a very respectable university, doing one of the hardest degrees you possibly can do, and a dissertation on top of that as well, and also trying to keep things going with my girlfriend at the time. I'm going to get to that. And also trying to keep friendships alive, trying to have a bit of a social life. I had to juggle it all. And I never even knew that you could vomit from stress. I never knew what stress could actually do to you, but I went through some times that I never really told people just to make it work. And I then graduated from university, first class degree, right? Can't get much better than that. Record months was hit with Emrahan as well. Can't go wrong with that. And yeah, I was saying for him for like what? Several months by that point. And I remember graduating from university and I said to myself, nah, you know what? I'm gonna stick to this. I'm gonna look at what's out there on the market to make my mum happy, but I'm gonna stick to this because I've then realized that, all right, you actually are able to make multiple 5 figures a month at 20. You don't need to be a Mark Zuckerberg. You don't need to be a Jeff Bezos. You just need to have the drive. You need to have the will, and you need to be willing to bite your finger off, like genuinely. And so I graduated. Everyone around me going, oh yeah, I've got a job down at Bank of America. I've got a job down here. I've got a job down there. Telling me they're going to be like making 60K a year or something crazy ridiculous. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm taking a risk. I've just spent 5 years at university, 4 years doing education, a year and a half really doing, being a business analyst. That's technically part of my degree, but not really, yes and no. At that point, I was just part of the furniture. And yes, I graduated. And I remember that I went through a couple tough months at that point. I think we took down ad spend. We went back to the drawing board, started working on product, all things like that, working on the VSL, things like that, yeah. And my girlfriend at the time really was not able to hack it because bear in mind, I was building a tech startup from scratch, which took just about a year and 2 months to get to the cut-off point. I was dating her for 2 years at that point, give or take. So already half of the relationship I was spent trying to build a tech startup. The other half I was just whatever, right? Being a little numpty, yeah. Yeah. Graduated university, stuck to it. I was able to land a 45K a year job. Again, just doing a bit of market research for my mum because my mum was like, Simon, again, Somali, foreign parent. She's like, you need to do this to make me happy because she did not believe in this. Nobody believed in me. Nobody believed I'd be able to do it. Everybody told me that I had to stop what I was doing. Everybody told me just to look for jobs. Everyone told me to take up the offer I was given. Quit, Simon, quit. You're not making enough. I was literally making an okay amount, fine. But in comparison to what my mates were making, like being a Sparky, being a this, being a software engineer, being a data analyst, making a lot more than me, and like, Simon, you're just wasting your time. You're working more than us, but nothing's really going on. And again, your appointment setting, right? So you're on your phone, just sitting on a sofa in a blanket, and that's all my girlfriend at the time was seeing. And I didn't actually take it too seriously until she then ended things with me because of the saying. Like, she quit me before I quit the setting, and I didn't even quit the setting. Everyone around me was telling me to quit it, and then she quit on me. And it's funny because it was literally what? It was our 3rd year anniversary on the 14th of November. It was my 25th birthday on the 16th of November, and on the 18th of November, she left me because of the setting. She could not hack it anymore. And to be fair, I do understand it. I do understand it. I'm there, like making people like 5 figures or whatever, because it's more than just Emrah at this point. I was trying to do other things as well. And there's me on the sofa, in a blanket, on my phone, eating a bit of food here and there. I gained a bit of weight, to be fair. But yeah, she ditched me. Couldn't handle it anymore. And to be fair, other than my mate and the conviction he had with that course, saying, no, Simon, you've got to jump into it, I also thank her heavily for that, because that really gave me the kick up the backside I needed. And the month after that, so she broke up with me on the 18th of November. In December, I had my first 5K a month purely from appointment setting, right? And even if I go back a couple months, I started doing a bit of agency work with my mate Aaron, right? Shout out to Aaron, I know you're watching this. And yes, I started a bit of stuff with him, but it was very, very slow. Like we tried. I remember the first month we got nothing, and we're like, okay, what are we doing? And then we got a commission only deal to an extent, with like what, £350 a month, and that was tough. And we got another geezer who we had to meet up in person with. I spent more money driving down there than I did in the retainer that we got. Oh my days. But yeah, we tried. We tried. So I think like from the agency we were making like 700. The rest of it purely came from appointment setting, and yeah, she just straight up couldn't handle it anymore. Understandable. But I did hit my first 5K in the month after, and I'm so thankful that happened, because after that happened, it did make me realise that, okay, cool, like this is possible. And I hit my first 5K in Thailand. Now, people do know me as Mr. Worldwide, Mr. International. Now I've got the bald head Andrew Tate, cool. But no, I think, yeah, it was literally what? After the breakup, she took my passport. As soon as I got my passport, I booked some tickets to Bangkok, and that's when my mum actually realised that, okay, this is real. The fact you've just booked effectively a one-way ticket to Bangkok, Thailand, a country you've got no idea about, a city you've never really done any research on, purely from just doing things on your phone, on the sofa, in the blanket, all day, all night. That's when she was like, okay, cool. And that was a pivotal moment, because again, for her, Somali mum, right, she'd straight up to not believe in any of it, but to see me leave with my suitcase to go to Thailand, that's when she realised, okay, this is real. And when I told her about the 5K, that's when she was like, you did the right thing. And I'm with you every single step of the way. And again, that's why I do it all for my mum, but that's neither here or there. Yeah, so hit my first 5K in appointment setting. Months after, ups and downs. Then March hit, where we effectively lost every single client that we had. With the agency, that is. Again, Tenfi Studios, Emrahan, very good mate of mine. Only real guy who's really stuck with me all the way through, and that's why, again, if there's any people on this planet that I would go to war, like the genuine war with, it is him, and it is also Aaron as well, like genuinely. But the guy took a bet on me. The guy took very good care of me, and I can never thank him enough. But he stayed with me. Everyone else that we had with the agency, yeah, went to put. And then April rolls around, and you might have seen the video. Yeah, my name's Simon. I'm 25 years old, and last month I hit my first 10K a month online. I was traveling around the world with my mates. You've all seen that bollocks, and I hate that video so much. But you've seen that video, and that video came through blood, sweat, and tears. And I think there's a big lesson there to be learned, because at the start of April, I literally remember sitting down with Aaron, being like, "Okay, we have to do this. We have to roll the dice, and we have to get 2 6s, non-negotiable, do or die." And it was him, myself, and another chap. He came into the picture a little later, but yeah, I think it was crazy. We'd wake up. I was literally sleeping on this sofa in a uni gaff. It was insane. It was, and I'll just walk upstairs, sit in that furnace of a not an attic, what was it, a loft, and just mash serious work. And that really did show me the power of camaraderie during that month, where all we had was hope. All we had was a dream. All we had was the willingness to bite one of our last fingers off. Because again, if you want to make it in this game, you have to you need to bite your fingers off. I think April was the point where I had one or two fingers left, or just biting them all off. And I was saying this to one of our coaching clients, Ben, top man. You have to be willing to go down the layers of hell before you break through the ceiling of heaven. And I think April for me was when I really went through the layers of hell. I was already getting burnt months prior, going through it. But yeah, I broke through the ceiling after giving it everything I had. And same with Aaron as well. We gave it everything we had, and we were able to do it. And I remember literally getting on the phone to my mum, being like, "Mum, I did it." And she was like, "I'm so proud of you." And I hate when people say they're proud of me. I hate it. I really do, because I don't sometimes even feel proud of myself. I feel like I've got so much more potential to give out there. But that's the first time she actually said to me that, like, she was proud of me, and I didn't fight it. I didn't do anything of the sort. So I just kind of sat there and was like, you know what? Yeah, thank you. I did do it. Appreciate you, and all things like that. But I remember that. I do remember that. But it didn't really hit me that much. It didn't hit me that much at all. Until I then joined my network. Willionaire, Will Courtney, shout out to you, mate. But then it's after I joined that. And again, to join that network, you need to be making at least 10K a month, whether it's your business or whether it's yourself. Either or, it doesn't matter. You just need to be the man who has been responsible to get something to 5 figures a month plus. Cool. That's when it hit me. That's when it really hit me. My mum already told me she's proud of me and all the rest of it. I then got into the network, and that's when I was like, okay, this is real. Now, this is genuinely real. All the pain I went through, all the suffering, all the fingers I had to bite off, all the layers of hell I had to go through, and there were some layers of hell, genuinely. I think if you want to scale, go for a breakup. Just do it. The best thing that's ever happened, right? And I think especially with a breakup, it literally goes one or two ways, where it's like, all right, either the person who does the breaking up has to prove that they were right, or the person who got broken up with has to then prove that they were wrong. And that's where the dynamic comes into it. And that's why, yeah, if you want to scale, go for a breakup. Because at that point, it's just like, okay, all systems go. I've got nothing to lose. But no, yeah, I think with that being said, I don't think I proved her wrong. I think she was right. She was right to do that. And I'm very thankful that she did do that. I think if she never did that, I don't know where I'd be today. And I've never been in Croatia. I've never been to Thailand or Mexico or Istanbul or Germany or France. Oh, I've been to France, fine. But little things like that, yeah. So she was right. And I'm thankful that I went through that pain. I'm thankful that I went through the fire and made it out through the ceiling of heaven into a very nice villa in Croatia. But yeah, that was April. Gave it her all. And I got on the phone to my mum, like, crying. And I say this as a man with a bald head and a big beard. I was crying on the phone to my mum, like, I actually did do it. And she was like, do not stop. Keep on going. And that's why I do this. I do it for her. I don't do it for the fans. I'm not even wearing a watch. I don't really care. I do not care at all. But yeah, months after that, I think what happened, and you'll realise this when you break past 5 figures, you do get complacent. You do get comfortable. And we then dipped. to be fair, in terms of the amount we were making, which is fine, bound to happen, because at that point it was just like, get the money in. You've got money, all right, we'll take it, we'll take it, we'll take it, we'll take it. And we got some pretty shoddy deals come through. Like, looking back now, the way we build things was very, very messy. And if I was to go back with the knowledge I have today, I'd be like, okay, cool. Don't take this, take that, charge a bit more, charge a bit of this, charge a bit of that. Have an actual plan. Because we just went all guns blazing. But yeah, we did take a hit in our revenue until like, for a month or two, and then we bounced right back up. Right back up. And I think as well, to all the people who are watching this, where you are probably thinking to yourself like, damn, can I even do it? I guarantee you can. And there are some people who, like, I do look at some people and like, can you make it? Can you really? Some people, I look at them straight away and go, yeah, you're going to make it. It's just a matter of when, not if. And there are some people I look at and like, do you really have it in you? Because I look around me. I look at all the people I started with, and I genuinely believe 85% have all dipped, right? But the people who stayed in the game have all done at least 10k USD. And I got started in February 2024. The business hit 10k in April 2025. It took us over a year to get there. We perhaps took the scenic route, okay? But I think there's a lesson there as well where it's like, right, just do not quit. Because if you become the 85% of people that just drop off, you're never going to be able to break through the ceiling of heaven. And then you get shiny object syndrome, and then you decide that, okay, cool, I'm going to try drop shipping, I'm going to try ecom. Whatever you decide to do, just stick to it and just don't stop. That is honestly it. Like, 5 figures is literally nothing. I was literally at dinner last night with a bunch of people all making like 50k plus, and I'm like, okay, cool, damn. Because I remember being offered that 45k a year job where I thought that was really good. But I'm sat shoulder to shoulder with someone who does that in a calendar month. Younger than me, like 21 years old, living the dream, right? But it's genuinely one of the toughest things in the world to break past 5 figures. And to all the people who are watching this, you do want to do it, just be willing to really go for it. And the more pain and the more discomfort that you go through, the closer you are. And I mean that with conviction. Just keep on going through it, because hell is not meant to be nice. And the deeper down into hell you go, the hotter it gets. But the hotter it gets, the better. That's exactly what you're after. That's where you do it. Because again, if you think about it, money is just the transference of stress. Like, for example, if like you've got a light bulb, let's say, and that's broken, okay, you're now stressed. You're like, oh no, the light bulb's broken. Sound. Cool. Not cool. Stress. But you get the point. You talk to a Sparky, an electrician, and you're like, all right, mate, can you fix the light, please? I'm going to give you some money to take away the stress that I currently have, so then you can deal with that. Now you've got the stress of dealing with that. Yeah. Same thing. You're going through a layers of hell. Yeah. That's why stress tolerance is such a big thing when you're actually trying to make it. The more stress you can handle, the more likely you are to make it. That is all it is. Money is just stress. That is it. So the more money you're given, the more stress you've got. The more stress you've got, the deeper into hell you go. But the deeper into hell you go means the closer you are to breaking through the ceiling of heaven. And that's really what it is. And there are so many stories I could say right now. But again, there are people watching. Just know that I was not the poster child. I was not meant to make it. I'm not meant to be in Croatia. I'm barely even meant to be alive. I'm not even meant to have a mum. I don't have a dad. All the odds were against me. The chances of me being where I am today are slim to none. But just like my mum, I did not take no for an answer. And that's why when I see other setters I'm coaching at the minute, and they're not taking no for an answer, that's when I'm like, okay, good. Do not take no for an answer. Just keep on going, mate. But that's Simon in a nutshell. That is
the skinny of my life. There are so many stories that cannot be spoken about because, again, the odds were against me. But I like being the underdog. I like being the guy that people don't think can make it is worth it. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know how people are going to see me, if people see me as the champion or the underdog, but just still see me as the underdog. Give me something to work for, do you know what I mean? But hey, there's no snus getting thrown at me today. Not got the chain on neither. But I hope this has been of some form of inspiration to you, genuinely. And if you have gone through a similar thing to me, I'd love to hear about it. I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day who saw my videos on Instagram. Don't have that many, but he messaged me and was like, "Simon, I really resonate with you," and that inspired me. That inspired me because I know what it's like. Some people have it easy. Some people have it just like me. Very, very difficult. But I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to keep on going, of course. I don't take no for an answer. And yeah, I think, again, my DM's are always open. If you did resonate with any of this and you are going through perhaps a similar situation to what I went through before in the past, or you've seen some of my Instagram posts or whatever, and you're like, okay, yeah, that hits home, I'd be keen to hear it. I'd be keen to hear it because, again, I've had to change who I am as a person completely to become who I am today. And I do not regret anything that has happened so far in my life. If I had the chance to rewind time, I'd say no. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. If it all goes kaput tomorrow, that is God's plan. I'm okay with that because funny, but either way, Instagram is in the description. My bald head is very easy to find, and I appreciate you for watching. Thank you.